Well, hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of Ladies and Gents Listen Up. Alrighty, I trust that everybody is doing well. Don't forget, before we get started, to like, share, and subscribe. We have some goals out there for our subscribers, right? Hello, Mr. Rufus Carpenter. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Good morning. Good afternoon, Dr. Liz. I'm doing well.
Good, good, good. So we are on this mini series of understanding the. I guess today we're talking about the bridge, right?
Yes, the bridge.
In this loveless relationship or loveless marriage journey that we've been up and down and all over the place with. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the bridge. But before we get started, let's get on over to Grandma's cookie jar and see what nuggets she want to start us out with today. And actually, I'm going to tell on myself because, I pulled one out the other day and I said it would be great for today's topic. So I restuffed the jar, y'all. But at least I'm being transparent, right? So when I pulled it out, it said, find what you love and never let go.
Okay, find what you love and never let go.
Find what
Find,
you love and never let go.
love, and never let go.
Right, right. And so we've been doing a series within a series because we've been
Okay.
talking about the loveless marriage series, or loveless relationship series, but we also have been talking about, journaling and how important it is for this year to close out this year by reflecting on what happened last year. The only way that you can really sufficiently or efficiently do that is to journal. And so just what you just did, jotted down that note. So hint, hint, everybody. Part of the series is to make sure that you're taking your notes, right? On the flip side, it says today is going to be awesome. So we're just putting those
Today is
positive.
today is going
It's
to
going
be
to
awesome.
be
That's correct.
awesome.
Awesome. That's in keeping with what we got to do. In that note, let me jump in right now because we've got a lot to cover today. And I want to get it all in. Seeing
Okay.
how this is the last podcast for 2022 and we're about ready to cross over into 2023, we really want to make today awesome. Awesome. Now, normally I start by covering the review of what we already done. But since this is the fourth in that series, I think we're not going to try to review all that. What we're going to do is we're going to use all those techniques, all those concepts, and all of those things we've done up to this point in today's lesson or in today's podcast. So you're going to get it all in doing. At first, I always want to thank you, Dr. Liz, for inviting me on your podcast and for the work you're doing in the community. You're serving at a very high level, and for that, we appreciate you very, very much. So please continue that blessing to the community. All right.
Thank you.
Now, as you know, we've covered last week, we did root. And we're closing out this as two parts. It's the root you got last week, and root is the baggage that you bring into a relationship or the baggage you create into a relationship. And we also said that the root problem, root cause, based on the fruit that you bear, could be from you. That root could be from your partner, or that root could be you guys coming together. That root could be that, and that root could be conflict. But whatever that root was, we gave you a whole we gave you a whole week to work through it and try to find that root. So you know what we're going to address today. Today we're going to do what's called the bridge. The bridge is simply going from one place to another. And normally a bridge covers something that you don't want to get into. For instance, if it's a lake or a stream, you want to cover that stream without getting wet. So you really don't want to get into that water. So you build a bridge across it. Or it could be mudslide, or it could be a number of things. It could be a busy highway and you don't want to get hit crossing. So you build a bridge over that. Since we're talking about loveless marriages and relationship, we want to bridge over that conflict. We want to build a bridge over that. So we already know, because of our success works, we've got 2 points already. We've got our beginning, which is the past, and we have our future, which is our expected outcome. And I asked you to look at your future being December the 15th, 2023. What's the best possibility of your marriage, relationship, affair, entanglement, or whatever you call it, partnership, whatever that is, however you see it, we want you to stand in the best possibility in December the 15th, 2023. And that was your success work too. And Dr. Liz, she did her success work in the last one, when she talked about what was important to her. How does she see her future standing in the highest possibility? And she did that. And all along this process, I gave you mine. I gave you what I thought my best possibility should be, or I gave you examples what I was talking about. Okay, so we all should be aware of that. So today we're going to put those together and bridge the gap. Now, I thought I'll be more teachy today than talking. So because of that, I'm going to bring out a board. And I hope you can see this board, and I'm putting it where I think you can see it the best. And Dr. Liz, can you see it well?
Yep, that's good right there.
If you can see it, everybody can see it. And if you know at the top of this, I got bridge the gap. Bridge the gap. And I started with the past and the beginning. And in that beginning past, you see that success work one, the why. The why. We ask you to truly look at your life right now, and we ask you to look at it as present tense and decide what is it that's working and not working. We wanted you to be truthful when you wrote in your journal or use your phone and recorded that. I said 3 to 10 minutes of what your relationship looks like or what you feel it is. We wanted you to actually be truthful to you, because this work is for you. It's not for Dr. Liz or myself, even though we are doing the work with you, but it's more so for you. So what you put in it is what you're going to get out of it. If you are truthful with yourself, then you actually know what you want right now. You know what's in your relationship. You know the opportunities there. You know the things that you're pleased with, the things that's working really well, and you know the things that's not working really well for you. And then we crossed over, and you see that big who there, but we're not going to talk about the who right now. We're going to go to success work 2. Success work 2 was your what? We talked about it's your future or expected outcome. And the word expected means that you plan is what you want to see. It's what you want to see. So that's the what. The what is what you want to see. And we gave you a date and time. We said December the 15th, 2023. What do you see, or what do you envision, or what do you want your relationship, marriage, affair, partnership, entanglement, or whatever you call it, what do you want that to look like in 2023, December the 15th? Now, that might have been hard for somebody, or it might have been difficult, because if you really truly looked at that, you actually asked yourself, what do you want? You looked at yourself first. You said, wow, what do I want? And I was talking to a friend of mine recently, and a friend of mine told me that you're going to have to leave something. What are you willing to leave, let go of, and what do you want to have more of or build towards? And if that's you in your what, in your expected future, actually put together. And I told you, take the blinders off. Don't see any limits. Don't limit yourself. Actually go for what you really want. I said, let this be your bold life. Think about it. You've been going through, if you've been in your relationship for 5, 3, 4, 2, or even 1 year, or if 15 years or more, if you go day in and day out and you look in yourself, you say to yourself, damn, what am I doing here? Man, something's wrong. This isn't serving me. I'm not getting the pleasure. I'm not happy here. What's going on? Now, before we go into the who and start bridging the gap, there's some things that we must discuss. Some things that's non-negotiable things. And those non-negotiable things are, for me, I'm going to give it for me, and you can figure out what your non-negotiables are. And if I have a pen, let me see. I think I brought a pen. I thought I had a pen. I started out with one. I do. I have one. Okay. Let's get one or two things that you know that you have to have in a relationship in order to be successful, that you may or may not have right now, or maybe a little dark or shady right now. For me, one of the things I have to have in a relationship, whether it's now, whether it's going forward, is trust. That's a non-negotiable for me. Trust. So I'm going to write in this trust. So that's one thing I have to have. I hope you can see that. Can you see that, Dr. Liz?
Yes, we can.
All right, so trust. Trust is something I can't negotiate that. If I can't trust you, I really can't do anything with you. I can't be with you because that trust is very important to me. And that trust sometimes all the time, it's a deal breaker, all the time. Mm-hmm. Because if I can't trust you, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. I'll be faking the funk if I try to say anything different. All right, so trust is one. The other thing is, and this is a weakness of myself, communication. I got to have communication.
That's good.
Come on. Trust and communication. That's two things I have to have. Now, give me one you got to have, Dr. Liz, because I don't want to talk all about me, because this is about our audience here. So is there anything that you got to have a relationship going forward?
Right. Well, this is great. Commitment, because you took my first two.
So you have to be committed.
Commitment. Yes.
All right. So commitment. So we've got three things. We've got trust, we've got communication, and we got commitment. Those are some things that have to be there for us. Now, you can get your list however you want to get your list. You can decide what you want going forward. Now, how do we bridge this gap? How do we go there? How do we go from our past to our future? Now, we told you what some things that we're not gonna budge on, and we've got the trust, the commitment, and the communication. Now, looking at yourself, your relationship, what 1, 2, or possibly 3 things that would help you or make it better, or make a better future in the current relationship you have right now? If you're keeping your current partner a spouse, what 1, 2, or 3? Now, it can't be no more than that. If you got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 things, you got the wrong spouse, or you got the wrong partner. I gotta let you know up front. So what Excellent. 1, 2, or possibly 3, no more than 3, what 1, 2, or possibly 3 things that you feel that you need to work on? And it could be communication. It could be you need to be more committed. It could be, I think one of the biggest things that I'm noticing and I've found and I worked through my life is, I can't even say the word, conflict resolution.
That's good.
That's a big word, and for a long time I know what the heck that meant. But what it really saying is, how do you two solve your problems or differences? And we can say conflict resolution, but the real deal is, what system do you guys put in place in your relationship to handle problems, disagreements when they arise? I'm gonna put problem solver here. Problem solver. Now, the professional name is conflict resolution, but we're going to say problem solver for today. How do you two solve your problems and opportunities? Because every relationship, whether it's good, whether it's the best, whether it's not, requires work. Requires work. And if 2 people are the same, what are you doing together for anyway? That's boring. I mean, normally there's some
You said it's got to be some sparks, some kind of sparks there, right?
Yeah, let me stop. This is about more. I'm sorry. This is more for the audience today. So I'm going to say that hopefully that you both bring something different and diverse to the relationship. I'm going to say it that way. Hopefully you guys bring something different and diverse to the relationship. So if that's the case, a lot of times you're not always going to agree. And you don't want to always be the one that bow down or shrink in because the other partner is so strong and so dominant. You want to be able to have some type of system in place for problem solving. And think about it. Now, the ideal world is that when I give you, I'm not going to say criticism, but when I give you feedback in our relationship, it should be neutral. This is ideal world. This is not realistic for a lot of couples. But it's neat to be where you're giving, instead of criticism, it's called feedback. So we're going to put feedback here as the next thing that we want to talk about.
Right. And when we talk about when you're talking about feedback too, when we're talking about feedback or constructive criticism, that falls right back into communication.
Yes,
yes.
Yes.
And oftentimes we receive it based on how the person delivers it to us.
Correct. And we're going to scratch the word criticism out, Dr. Liz. We're not going to use the word criticism at all. We're going to use the word feedback. Because criticism can be, most people take criticism as being negative by nature. I don't know why. But most people, when you say I'm going to talk, they take it negatively. So we're going to say feedback.
Okay.
And we're going to say feedback is always going to be neutral in your relationship. Feedback should be neutral, meaning that I should be able to tell you what I feel inside without you getting pissed off, mad, or ready to fight. Or I shouldn't have any fear of telling you what's inside. Now, I got to have time. I got to have common sense now. But we're dealing with feedback, and we're saying feedback is neutral.
Right.
If I have a, let's say for instance, let's say you cook meatloaf last night, and we're sitting down eating, and that meatloaf is salty as all outdoors. Oh Jesus, you put too much salt in that. If it's too much salt, I say, hey baby, can I give you some feedback on your meatloaf? Yes, dear. What is it? Baby, you just put a tad bit too much salt in it last night. It was too much salt, and it was very difficult for me to eat it because of the salt. Just that simple. That should be neutral.
Okay. So when you say neutral, are you talking about what's the neutral part? Help us understand that neutral part.
The neutral part is that if I'm giving you feedback, if I'm talking about something that I think is not quite the way it should be in our relationship, or the way you rub me and it's not the right way, and I need to let you know that I don't want that to continue. Now, some people got a system called start and stop. And I'm gonna write that too, because that's a system we use in business. And I'll write that and we'll come back to that. Start, stop.
But I think the way that you just delivered that message about the salt, that part, if you're talking about everybody's done their work and we're talking about two healthy people coming together with this giving each other feedback, the way that you just put it was a great example of how to deliver it, because oftentimes we don't know how to deliver that feedback.
Yes, and see, the problem is you have to realize something, because a lot of people don't want to be called on the carpet. They don't want to feel like they didn't do it right. They don't want to feel small or whatever, or they don't want to feel like, I want to put it in such a way that they don't want to feel like they're wrong. Some people, no matter what, they're always right. Because I've been criticized that people say, well, you're never going to apologize because you're always right. and I'd be saying, well, I don't get it, but they get it.
Let me add something here too. I think too, it goes back to what we talked about last week when we talked about the root, because oftentimes we're attempting to be in a relationship, but we haven't healed the hurts and the woes of our past. So we have that deep rooted issue, like what we talked about. You're still carrying around 30% of a trauma, or you're still carrying around issues, And then when you try to come in and you communicate, when somebody says something to you, you're taking it offensively because you still have that issue. So you can deliver a message as gentle as you just did, with as much tact as you just did, but no matter how you deliver it. And that's also one of those things that you said on that side about what are your deal breakers. So if somebody is not a good communicator, then how can you expect to have a good healthy relationship with them if you can't communicate your feedback to them on a positive note, just to help correct some things? If you can't give that feedback to them, then again, that's going to take us back to the thought process. Is this the right person that I want to go into the next chapter or next level of my life with?
Yes, and that's why we pick this right here. We picked the feedback problem solving, and we said I can't even say, wait, hold on. I gotta get my thoughts right. That word, conflict resolution. When we said that conflict resolution, that's very important because you're always gonna have some moments in your relationship where you're not gonna agree, and that area where you don't agree shouldn't be a time where you should be worried or afraid to say it, or you should be afraid. A friend of mine told me that when you got a problem with the money in the house, and that the wife, she only can spend a certain amount of money, what she'll do is go out and buy what she wants to put in the trunk. Won't even bring the stuff in the house because she don't want the husband to see that she spent all the money on whatever.
Okay.
Those type of things, because she's afraid that her husband's gonna see it and he's gonna blow a head gasket, and they're gonna have issues.
But go even deeper, and I'm gonna share something too. But go even deeper. Yeah. The root of all of that is not the fact that which now she's afraid that he's gonna blow a gasket because she didn't hold true to her word. But the point of it, you go back to the issue now, is really a root in her, because if you agree to this, so you come to the table and you all have your family meeting or whatever, and you say, okay, we're going to agree that you have your account, I have my account, we have our account, and then whatever is in your account, then go ahead, do what you want to do with it, and whatever's in my account, as long as we have the the family vision and all that together. So if that's something that she could be okay with, then there's no reason for her to sneak or hide or anything. But if you agree to, okay, if I spend over $20, then there's an issue. My budget, or my I don't do well with like allowances and stuff like that. So if you don't do well with that, it's about learning yourself. So don't come to that agreement with him that you're not going to do it and then go behind his back and do it, because now you set up a seed of distrust, a seed of you set those seeds up. So now you can't have a healthy outcome. I put myself out there in transparency in this issue. I think is really relevant. I've had trust issues in partnerships when I've had male partners, but I have an amazing male partner that actually saw that I had those trust issues and worked through those with me, and valued the relationship, to build that relationship till everything that he did was in such integrity that it brought down those walls of me not trusting. So now that issue that I've had about trusting is something that I worked on to heal. So now when I go into a relationship, it'll be a better relationship, because now I've learned how to identify healthy and non-healthy behaviors. So when we have a conflict, or not even a conflict, if you will, if we have given each other permission to give honest feedback, we've given each other permission, or we've committed to, the goal is not to be right, because oftentimes we're fighting to be right no matter what the situation is. The agreement is that we'll make sure that each other is okay before we walk away from the situation. And so you learn those tools along the way. So this is very, very good information.
And Dr. Liz, what you just did, you just gave part of what the work is. You and your partner put in the work. Your relationship was such, you felt that was, he felt, and together y'all felt it was such a great asset to both of y'all to continue to work in relationship, but the opportunity was to trust. So what he did and you guys did together, y'all did the work to better that relationship. Y'all did the work. And that's what Bridging the Gap is about. It's about doing the work. It's about doing the work. And what we were doing, giving you the prep of doing the work, we gave you what are some of the non-negotiables, and we non-negotiable was trust, communication, and commitment. And we told you that the actual how do you solve some of your problems. We talked about the conflict resolution, and we talked about problem solving, because when you do the work, you're going to always irritate, or there's going to be some friction, or you're going to rub somebody the wrong way. When that happens, how do you deal with that? And this is what the problem solvers are, and also the feedback. And I asked you to have you and your partner get together where the feedback can be neutral, where neither one of you will get upset or mad or irate because of what the other said. And that sometimes become an issue. So because of that, I'm going to give you another concept you can use is to stop, is to start, stop. This is all three of these are conflict resolution tools. The first one, feedback. The next one is problem solving, and the third one is start, stop. The start, stop technique is a great technique if you're afraid that the person is going to get upset or you're going to have animosity whenever you start something. And here's what you tell them. Here's how the start, stop work. You said, honey, we had meatloaf last night. And in our start, stop system, I would ask you to stop using so much salt in our meatloaf. Because when you use a lot of salt, it's hard for me to eat it. I have high blood pressure now, and that salt also gives me weight, it causes me weight gain issues. So if you would start putting less salt in, I would appreciate that. And then now we're gonna do it from the stop. Honey, last night the dinner was great. The only opportunity was the meatloaf. I asked you would you please stop putting so much salt in there, because the salt made it difficult for me to eat. And also the salt, it makes me retain fluid and I gain weight. And neither one of us need to get any weight because it's bad for our health. So honey, would you please stop putting so much salt in it? And let's start and stop. It's what you want them to start, Mother. And I would say, hey, baby, here, let's talk about start and stop. I would ask that you be more passionate. I want you to start being more passionate in our.
But you know, no, but this is, but you know what? This is really, really good. This is really, really good, because most people don't know this type of communication, so they get frustrated and frustrated, right?
Yes.
So what you just said though. The compliment, the sandwich, right? The complimenting part first. And so the second way that you delivered it felt better to me, because you complimented, your tone was gentle, you complimented, you asked for the resolution or the solution in it, but you didn't just, some people just bring you the challenge, but you brought in the solution and the results of the solution, right?
Yes.
And we're talking about how you deliver it. So let's go back to the partnership, right? So I had another partner that felt that if you're an adult, so if I tell you something, you look fat in that, versus he felt like, well, I'm helping you to not go out there and look bad in public. So he could use some of this training, because his thing was, as long as I give you the message, you should appreciate that I'm giving it to you, versus giving it to you in a way that's palatable that you can receive it. So a lot of people don't see anything wrong with, oh, I know you're not going out the house with that on, you look fat. You know what I'm saying? Versus giving them the, how would you phrase that? If you saw your significant other or even a partner, how would you rephrase that?
Here's what I say, honey. I noticed something. I noticed something when you go out. A lot of times, I have concerns. So I'm asking, would you stop wearing the clothes that show all of your body when you go out? Because it makes me feel uncomfortable. And I treasure you. Your body to me is a temple. And I like the fact that you bring it to me. When you're home, I see all of you. But I'm asking you to stop wearing the stuff with all your stuff hanging out, or with all of that, because men or other people, when they see you, they don't see the woman in you that I see. What they see is a piece of meat. And never, ever, ever, never do I want you to be seen in that light. Your character is too great. Your intelligence is too much to be viewed that way. So please, baby, will you stop wearing those type of things? Or can we discuss it more in detail?
Exactly. Now let's go back to the right? We are an adult channel, so we're good. So we're good. So this is a great bridge because we have oftentimes I've heard feedback and experienced it myself in in former relationships where men don't receive that well. There was a movie with Tyler Perry and a therapist. I can't remember the name of the movie right now, but she brought to her husband what she wanted. She wanted more excitement. He just wanted, what is it? Just I forget. Just go in the bedroom and that's it. We just, what is it? The one on top of the other. That's what he said. I can't think of the name of it. Missionary. I was gonna say something else, but missionary, right? That's all he wanted. He said, "This is how we're supposed to do it in the bedroom." But she comes home and she, gets aggressive and assertive, and she wants to have fun, and he's like, "No, I don't want that. You stop that right now. What is wrong with you? What's gotten into you?" But she was bringing to him, what she wanted, and oftentimes people don't receive it. They take it as a put down that you're saying that they're not good enough, they're not doing enough, they don't have enough skill or whatever, versus you bringing it to them and saying, let's enhance it, let's try this, let's do that. So what were you about to say about that when you say somebody you should be able to?
What I would say, this is why I say start stop. The start stop is the easy way to do that. You would say, honey, can we start to add more into that part of our life? What we have now is fine, and I think that's a starting point where we are right now. But could we add some things? And we don't have to do a lot right away, but can we add maybe this time?
Now he said,
and then you got to realize all of this, the trust. If your partner trusts you enough to feel that you're in it for the long haul, and you communicating your desires, and you communicating that the partnership, this is something that's important to you, and you both are committed to that relationship, it's not as difficult to ask those things, because remember, you're giving feedback and you're saying, honey, it's great, it works for you, but I'm still left on the table. There's still a lot left on the table when we're finished. And right. This is the feedback. You tell them, hey, look, so can you start adding this to that part of our relationship? And if the trust is there, the commitment there, communication is there, and you guys agree to do the work, because you guys started here. You started here with the missionary that didn't work well for you, and you want to get here swinging off the ceiling.
Right.
You want Lionel Richie all night long.
Right.
How do you get from missionary to Lionel Richie all night long? And that's the trust, communication, and the commitment, and you give them the feedback. How do you resolve that problem? Now, remember, when we started this, we told you that you need to, 1, 2, or possibly 3 things that you want to work on. First, you got to realize something. First, you got to work on yourself. You got to know who you are first. You got to know what's important to you. What are the non-negotiables? What are you willing to give up? And if you've been in a relationship 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, or 25 years, you know your partner. You know who's on the other side of that equation. And if you know them, you know what they like and don't like or dislike. So if you made a decision that you're going to stay with this person, you and your boo is going to go into 2023 together, hand in hand, you work on yourself first. You got to work on yourself, because you can't fix people. You never fix your boo. But you can actually communicate to your boo, and you can give your boo feedback, and you can tell your boo, hey, boo, will you start this? Will you stop that? Or can I give you some feedback? And this is not, we're not arguing, we're not fussing. It's just that we're just communication. Here are some of the things I like, because you're solving those problems between you guys. And remember, I told you, write 1, 2, or maybe 3 things that you feel that you can work on you and then what you and your partner can work on together. Do the work. Stop wishing and do the work. That grandmother's cookie job. Stop wishing and do the work. And if you do the work, you can cross. Now, let's talk. We're going to close this out in next 5 to 10 minutes. We're closing this out. Now, this is the who. Now, if you and your boo realize y'all can't do it alone, that your boo just won't listen, you can't say the right words, you can't get the right format together where y'all can do it together, this is when you go for the outside help. Outside help can be a counselor. You guys can see a relationship counselor, a marriage counselor, or you guys can see your minister, your pastor. You guys can see whoever you guys feel comfortable with. You guys can work through and sort through some of this stuff. You guys can take courses. They got relationship courses you guys can take. You can take it together. You guys can look at Dr. Liz podcast and say, baby, what's your take on that? Here's my take. And then y'all guys can sit down and work on it and figure out how to work it out together. There's so many things you can do as outside to bring into that relationship. Or you guys can say, let's say that missionary, going back to that missionary, to slinging off a ceiling. You can buy, one person can buy something off Amazon and say, baby, this is the latest and greatest. Let's try this and we won't have any problems. I'm having fun.
I think it goes back. I think it also goes back to what I always said over and over. I said the interrogation period. When you first sit down and you start having that initial conversation with somebody, and it goes back to what you said about the conversation. I think we don't stop and have those conversations at the beginning. You know, we don't stop and really listen, or we having conversations, but it's surface. We're not really talking about the things that are important, or we're looking because we're visual. So we're looking, we're sexual creatures, and all of that, gets in the way of forming these, these conversations that are going to be meaning, that are going to get us to this point, or to a successful relationship or successful outcome. But I think it's being brave enough and having the courage to know yourself and to stand up for what it is that you're looking for in a relationship. And really, we talked about the journaling, and this would go into the 5 W's journal, where you're talking about the who, the what, the why, and things. And so this was a great segment into the journaling, which actually is going to come up tomorrow on our next segment. But I think it's a part 4 to why it's important to journal and the benefits of journaling. And I think you just brought it home. You hit a home run with that, because oftentimes we don't even journal about our relationship. We have these issues. Sometimes we just use our own self as our frame of reference. We don't follow these steps that you've laid out so eloquently for us. And that's why we have the high divorce rate. That's why, I had somebody to share with me that had been married for, I believe it was about 15 years. And then when their husband retired, they ended up divorcing because they realized they didn't like each other. They liked the passing in the night, one work days, one work nights, or something like that. They liked the passing in the vacation husband or wife. But to actually be there with you all day long and we figuring these things out together, it didn't. They ended in divorce after the retirement. But again, getting to know.
Okay. Now we're gonna close this out. But to close this out, I wanted to let you know that I will actually take a picture of my whiteboard and send it to Dr. Liz. And Dr. Liz, she can get it to you if you want a copy of that. She'll have that access to you. She can give you that copy of that, because that's the framework of how we're going to get from where you are right now to where you need to be in 2023. And remember, all the things we worked throughout the cycle, the most important part of it is that conflict resolution part. That's where you go and do the work. Because once you work on you and get you right and you ready and you willing to work with your partner going forward, then how do you invite your partner into that work effort, into that work cycle, into that work container? How do you work on not work on your partner, because you can't fix your partner. Your partner has to be willing to work, but you have to make an environment such that your partner want to work with you to get a better 2023 relationship. So once you get your partner on board and you and your partner work through this together, the conflict resolution is great. How do you solve the problems going forward? What mechanism do you guys have? Do you want to do the start stop? Do you want to do the feedback is neutral? However you want to do that, but you have to get that because, like I said, you two are two different people. You have different goals and different desires. So as you come to be one flesh, make sure that you have some system in place to work through those difficult moments in your relationship because you're going to have highs, you're going to have lows. And we want you to survive that. We want you to be standing in your best possible relationship in December the 15th, 2023. And because of that, we want to make sure that you have all the resources you need. And the last part of this, I want to bring up that one part again, and I close on this. Remember, we said what the mindset was. If you get your mindset right, the vision, what's the vision you have of your 2023 relationship? What vision? What's the best possible vision you have? And if you have the right vision, this gives you clarity. This helps build momentum going forward. As you bring your partner into that working relationship with you, you guys both can have clarity and momentum. The next is the skill set, the doing, the actually not talking about it, but actually rolling up your sleeves and working through it together. You and your partner working through it. You and your partner saying what you like and saying what you don't like. And this is where the start stop works, baby. I want you to start doing this, and I ask that you stop doing that. And here's the reason why I asked that you start doing this. And here's the reason why I asked you to stop doing that. And you talk that way, you do it that way. And that's the skill set. That's the work that's going in. The more you do the work, the more deposits come back into your relationship and you benefit from it. And that becomes mastery. That becomes a better relationship. You're taking your relationship to the next level. And the next part of this is the tool set. The tool set is the who that's going to come in or what mechanism you're going to use to get you to the next level, get your relationship to the next level. It could be a person. It could be a podcast like drliz podcast. It could be a psychologist or psychiatrist. You guys can go and meet, and it can be as it can be a couples retreat that you and your couple every now and then, or it could be you guys set aside 1 week every quarter that you guys go on vacation or you guys just spend a time together. It's your time to be romantic to each other. It's your time to relate and love on each other. It could be every quarter, every 3 months, and say, look, we're gonna take a weekend or a week, whatever your situation can afford, that you're gonna take that time and you guys can renew your relationship. You can do that. Or that's the tool set, that's the mechanism. Now, if you do the mindset, the skill set, and tool set, if you do that faithfully in your relationship, that gives you access to a better, brighter future. That gives you the next level relationship because you've done the work, you've committed to each other. And that, Dr. Liz, with that, I'm all in for this podcast and for this series.
Yes,
Any questions you want to add, or anything you want me to cover that I didn't cover, or you feel that I need to expound on?
Well, no, actually, I think you tied it up very well for us with that big red bow on it and said, "Here you go. This is the work." And I think that's the biggest thing is really doing the work, and really stepping through those steps. And journaling helps you to do that. But I like what you said about pulling your partner in, because oftentimes we make that fatal mistake of just working on ourselves. And we grow, and our partner is still here, having no idea or no clue as to what we're doing. So you said bringing your partner in and you all doing the work together. You definitely have to do the work on yourself individually, but then bring your partner into doing this type of work. So I thank you so much for that. I think you did a fantastic job with presenting. I also wanted to offer that, if somebody wanted to, you can always press pause and take a picture of your board, so you'll have a copy right there on your phone as well. That's another way for them to have it as well. So. But anyhow, I just thank you so much for going through this up and down journey with us, throughout this loveless marriage, loveless relationship. And actually, we can put a little subtitle in there, how to bring the love back into the relationship, or decide what you want to do with it. But it's all in a state of mind is what I'm hearing. So until next year, everybody have a wonderful, 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 end of this year, and Happy New Year to everybody. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Listen, learn, and leverage this information. Bye for now. You all stay fearless.